Bandai is back with its budget-friendly, small-scale, easy-to-build line that is entry-grade, and today we're going to be taking a look at the entry-grade Strike Rouge. Now this is pretty much 99% the same as what we would have seen before with the entry-grade Strike Gundam. All we've got here is a color swap, so pretty much everything inside the box is the same as we would have seen before. So I'm going to review this at the same time as another kit that came out on that exact same day, which is the Option Set Gunpla 14 Gunbarrel Striker. So today we're going to be having a little bit of a double review and making a bit of a Gunbarrel Strike Rouge. Anyways, always this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely awesome people over at HobbyLink Japan. Both of these kits are quite cheap. One is about $6, the other is about $9. But yeah, let's jump right on into the review. Alright, so now jumping on into the aesthetics, and I have these two combined already just to try and test them out a little bit, and let's just say they work out quite well, maybe besides the color somewhat. I will try and throw this standard entry-grade Strike into the mix somewhat in a little while, but for now we're just going to be taking a look at the Strike Rouge, so let's get the Strike Rouge removed from the situation so we can take a look at that first. So anyway, there we go, there is the entry-grade Strike Rouge just out of the box built. I did panelline the face ever so slightly, but besides that, this is what it looks like. Straight built. Now I will say this is pretty much identical to what we would have seen with the standard entry grade Strike, it's just that the colors are now in the Strike Rouge palette. That is light pink for the whites, a medium pink for the red sections, and a darkerish pink for the various different blue parts on it, but otherwise essentially, it's exactly the same, so that does mean it will be usable with all of the option sets we would have seen so far for using with that particular kit, being the Ale Striker pack, as well as the launcher and the sword. And speaking of which, I'm just going to pop it in really quickly. There is the standard entry grade Strike Gundam. Now I will mention this is equipped with the sword parts and the launcher parts. I won't be taking those off because I'd have to put them back on again because I do display it as the perfect strike. But as you can see, again, exactly the same physical kit, just with a color swap. So yeah, pretty much everything we would have said about that particular version of the Strike does apply right here. Now this kit right here costs around $6.60 or in and around that sort of kind of price margin, which is absolutely ridiculous when you consider you're getting yourself essentially an entire kind of high grade style kit that is a little bit better and a little bit worse depending on what your own particular kind of standards for a kit are. For example, the better is the kind of detail and the kind of mold. Crispness is nicer, but I will say the kind of looseness of the joints and whatnot and the brittleness of the plastic can be a little bit more of a letdown than what you'd see from that line. Also, we do have those ridiculously over-the-top and cool eyes that we see on these kits. There is no stickers on this kit. For better or worse, no stickers. For example, up in the head camera front and back, there is no sticker, but the eyes right there, that is colored plastic in green, and there is no black there. That is just suggested with shadow, so basically the way the light falls. It does look funny from some angles like this one right here, but overall looks phenomenal. So jumping into that size comparison, as you can see it's an average size Gundam, so it comes in at around the same size the RX-78-2. The real grade right here is a little bit bigger than the high grade over here, and there it is next to a couple of random picks off the shelf, being the high grade Ariel on the left and the high grade Gundam Exia on the right. Also in here we do have a tiny little sheet of marking stickers. The only two it actually says to use in it is number 1, which is this shoulder one up here, and number 2, which is this 210 logo for down on the lower leg. Overall, these don't look too bad at all. They kind of blend in against the background nicely enough. You don't really see the edges too much. Overall, looking pretty good. So now jumping into the accessories, and here's everything that comes with the entry-grade Strike Rouge, which is pretty much your standard sword board and beam rifle without the sword. So what we've got is the standard Strike beam rifle and a Strike Rouge colored version of the shield. So when it comes to the hands in here, there are no options. These are your standard kind of high-grade-esque holding hands. So that does mean if you do grab a weapon from another high-grade kit, like the high-grade G Coax right here, it does mean you're actually able to slap it into the Strike Rouges or the entry-grade Strike, if we're talking about that kit, because of the same kit, just like so, and that right there is what it looks like with that G Coax rifle. And continuing on talking about compatibility with this kit, when it comes to the backpack adapter, it's not the usual 2-hole sort of backpack adapter you see in a high grade, it's the usual Strike kind. So it does mean that it is compatible with Strike related stuff, like the Perfect Striker pack right here, which is the option set Ale Striker and the option set launcher sword. So this can just pop on in there like so you can use it with this particular kit. However, that's not the pack we're going to be using today. We're going to be using the Gunbarrel. I will also mention that there are some other kits out there that do have this particular kind of backpack hole, including the various dagger kits. As for the actual equipment that is included with this particular kit, we do have the rifle. Once again, very, very nice. It's just simple, entirely in grey, but lots of nice little bits to detail up. The handle on this does not swivel side to side, even though it kind of looks like it should, but it does not. It's just set in place. And when it comes to popping it into the hand in this kit, it's quite simple. It just slides on in just like so. You don't need to actually split the hand in half, and that is very simple and handy. So it's time to get the entry grade Strike Rouge up on a stand. Now I will mention one thing that is a little bit of a letdown by these particular kits. This one and the other Strike with, well, the entry grade versions is this right here. So the little bit of a hole right here that you do actually attach the stand into, as you can see, is on a seam right here. So that does mean when you actually jam that in, that eventually loosens up and it'll fall off the stand. Not a great design. So when you do actually grab your Strike and then stuff that on in there, the more you wiggle this. So yeah, as you can see, that has come loose. So you can cement both those parts together, the butt flap onto the gray section, and that will, well, save you that trouble. So next up in here, we've got the shield. Now this is exactly the same as what we would have seen with the standard version of the Strike. So it is in matching colors to the Strike Rouge up front. Around back, it is just in white. A lot of this should be gray, including the handle. You can detail that up yourself, or even just a bit of pan lining should make that look fairly nice. Overall, par for the course for the kit, simple but effective. So as for attaching this on, it's the usual kind of gunpla way. We do have a hole in the elbow of this particular kit. You just pop the adapter of the shield into this like so. It holds on nice and strong. And that right there is what it looks like with the shield attached. Now I will mention, when you're actually attaching this together, I do find these kits aren't the greatest for posing a lot. The ball joints for the shoulders and the hips can get a little bit loose while moving them around. They always have to kind of be realigned and pushed back in to stop them from kind of just sagging there a little bit. Overall, really good. It just doesn't hold up too much to a lot of play. So it's best to just maybe pose it once, as opposed to moving around a lot. But yeah, there it is with its full loadout attached. Again, just a beam rifle and a shield, and that is pretty much it. Now I'm not going to go through the articulation on this particular kit right here. If you do want to see all the ins and outs of the articulation of the entry grade Strike, you can just check out the full review of the entry grade Strike onto the Gunbarrel Striker. So now jumping into the second half of the video, and that of course is the Gunbarrel Striker. So that's the box right there, that's what it looks like. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff in there, and when we actually get it all out of the box and built, this is the full spread in here. Now what we get is the Gunbarrel Striker itself, the Gatling gun, a pair of attachment adapters, these little sections here for the deployed versions of the gun barrels, and on top of that there is a bunch of stuff as well. This right here, which is, well, it's essentially extra. It's not in the instructions at all. It doesn't say what they're for. They look like a whole bunch of different adapters and parts. And even inside the manual right here, you can see that these are actually X'd out on it. So it means they're not for actually building at all. So these are extras to use, I guess, however you'd like to. So once you get the Gunbarrel Striker built, this is it out of box. So it does look incredibly, incredibly nice. Down the bottom, we do have a 3mm hole for using this with an action base. And the one I'm going to be using is the one that I was using already, which is an action base. I think it's a 7. Don't quote me on that one though, but fantastic action base at that. Now I will mention, just for the sake of clarity, that there is no action base included, so you will have to get your own or provide your own, and this one is always a, well, it's a good option. Actually, this one might be a little bit on the kind of pricey side just to get for this particular kit, so the one I always recommend is this right here, which is a simple one in name and concept, and that is this simple stand by Good Smile Company. So it's 3 of these for about $10, so, you know, it doesn't break the bank to get something just to display the gun barrel like so, and it kind of has a lot less of a footprint down here, so if you do have it on your shelf, it doesn't really take up a whole lot of space. This is the hexagonal one, by the way. Anyway, that right there is what the Gunbarrel Striker looks like. This looks phenomenal. This is not panel lined, but if it was, it would bring out all that nice detail that is molded in there. The shade of orange is very, very nice. We do have a very bright, beautiful white. We've got gray, which is on primarily the verniers. We do have some nice orange in there too to break those up. And we have a little bit of translucent clear green in the, what I would, well, I guess call the cockpit section up towards the front. Overall, a very nice design. It builds up nicely, and it's pretty cool. Honestly, extremely nice. 5,000 years later, and I actually realized that this isn't actually for that. That hole, which I suppose you could use it for that, is actually for attaching on this right here. So when this is actually attached, it does mean you can't attach it onto an action base very readily. Anyway, that is the Gatling for up front, just like so. And I guess it's time to get this attached onto the Gundam. To do that, you just pop this off. There's an extremely nice folding mechanism right here. So this is nicely layered, as you can see. We do have the gray inside of there, and that looks extremely extremely nice. Now, when it comes to attaching this onto your Gundam of choice, there is, well, two choices. First off, we've got this adapter right here, which is your standard Gundam 2-prong. It attaches on like this. Then you can grab yourself a standard high-grade Gundam of choice, pop off their backpack, and they should have the standard Gundam backpack adapter just like so. And then you can get that jammed on in there just like that. Now, it will stick out ever so slightly, but from the front, you won't really notice that too much. That right there is what it looks like, and that looks quite well with this right here, the high-grade Rising Freedom. As for when you're getting this attached onto a strike or a dagger, this will pop on just like so, and you can see this is mildly damaged. The reason I'll mention that is it's really hard to get out of the back of the strike. Really hard. But anyway, first off, I'm going to be going with the standard entry grade strike, still not taking off the launcher and the sword parts because, well, I don't really want to take them off again. As you can see, this is squared off, so it recesses nicely into the back of the strike like so without a bit sticking out. So that is what it looks like, and it goes with the standard strikes color scheme extremely well. The orange and the blue just pop together so nicely. This definitely is the kit that Bandai are definitely thinking about. That came out easily. I don't know, the Strike Rouge has been a bit weird on me. Compared to that standard strike I just picked up right there, it's got a little bit of a weak knee, and the shoulders tend to be going on me quite a bit, as well as this one particular hip occasionally just keeps popping off. I don't know, maybe it's mold fatigue or whatever they call it from kind of molding the kit too much. But yeah, when I popped this into the back of this, it was so hard to get back out. Anyway, popping that back in, yeah, I felt it there. That's got a tighter hole than the standard strike. These colors don't really go together really as well as what we would have seen with the entry grade strike standard, but there is what it looks like. When it is attached, we do have this little bit that can move up and down like so, but otherwise it just stays looking somewhat like that. Anyway, time to get it up on a stand. So now moving on back to the Gatling we took off of the Barrel Striker, should I say the Gunbarrel Striker. We do have a very nice look to this. I don't think it does rotate or anything like that. No, it's fixed in position. We do have this 3mm hole-to-hole adapter, which was holding it onto the bottom of the gun barrel. But we do have this little bit of a handle adapter, which is for attaching it into the hand. So that attaches up inside of it like so. So it's just a simple little handle like that. And in order to attach it into a Gundam's hand, it just slots on down from above, just like that. So simple and effective. So a nice weapon, definitely. Just rearrange the lights there to kind of get a little bit of that detail popping a little bit more. And there we go. That is that little Gatling gun. So the gun barrels up here are little funnel-like aspects, so to kind of get those deployed, just grab onto these, get them yanked off like so. We have 4 of these in total to pop off, and when they are removed, this is what the backpack looks like, just in case you are curious. So now it's a little bit more almost one-dimensional. It does have tiny little cute wings, but that's what it looks like. So when it comes to actually transforming each of these little gun barrels, it's very simple. You open this white little flap section like so, comes off easily, pop on the little duckbill looking bits like so, and then you just pop that cover on again into the upper section like this to make them look like they're just opened up. That's super simple. Then you just pop them onto a stand. There's a hole in the bottom in which they actually attached onto the backpack at first, and this is what you get once they're all displayed pretty much flying around. By all I mean 2.5, because I ran out of action bases that were lying around, but it gives you a good idea. They look great. The color's fantastic, and the fact that there's a gray layer inside of them underneath the opening section is really premium. These are absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, there we go. That is what it looks like. These are very nice. If you got yourself one of those like Witch from Mercury stands or something, instead of a whole bunch of these, you could actually set them all up nice and neatly flying around the place. They do look extremely good. As for the other stuff that came inside of the box, if you have any idea what these are for, let me know. These are very specific. We've got a 3mm hole in one side and the other side, what looks like a sort of almost like C-clip attachment bit for in there, which is unusual. Maybe even a kind of rotating handle. The other thing is this right here, which looks like some kind of adapter or peg. This is usually the kind of texture something has when it's jammed into something, you know, something that will rotate. It's hard to tell what it'd be used for. It's 3mm there. How or what this works with, I have no clue. And then we've got this right here, which just looks like a bunch of adapters. 3mm, 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 3mm in, and 3mm out up top and there. So that, again, looks very specific, but it has no use in this particular kit. If you know what it is, what it's for, drop it down there in the comments. So anyway, that right there is it for the review. When it comes to the entry grade Strike Rouge, you really can't fault this. At about $6 or $7, it's a super cheap kit. It's very nice, it looked great on a shelf. It does the color accuracy pretty much perfectly, even in such a tiny, simple box. It built up perfectly, and the only real issues are its attachment onto an action base and some of the ball joints a little bit. Besides that though, it's essentially perfect and an absolute steal. Now, I'm just going to use the classic ranking on this because it's exactly the same as the classic kit from before, so I do feel it's an older kit, so there's no point in ranking it on the new thing and kind of getting it a little too low. It was gold tier before, it's still gold tier now, and definitely a must buy if you just love to build kits, want to strike Rouge, and want one fairly cheaply. When it comes to option sets, I never rank these, so all I can say is this is phenomenal. I love this. The Gunbarrel Striker is really cool. It works out really well. I don't know why it's tied in the Strike Rouge. It doesn't really make much sense, but in the Strike, it's fine. This will look great on any kit. It's definitely on your entry grade Strike or a high grade Strike Gundam. The color is fantastic. The details are there. They went all out. The layered gray detail inside the opening sections, the multiple colors under, or should I say behind on the verniers, look incredible. It feels great. Looks great, it's fun to put together, and it's damn nice. What can I say? Love that to bits. Highly recommend. Anyway, I got both of mine through Hobby Link Japan. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and as always, I will see you next time. Once again, I can't finish this video right here without special thanks to the channel members and the patrons over on Patreon, including Simon Paskin, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, ShadowWolf179, Van Fawn, and Scotty Thomas.